Hello there, and welcome to this video. We're going to be diving into this book called The Right of a Lifetime by or about Bob Iger, aka Robert Iger, aka Mr. Iger, for those of us who are not in his inner circle or at the top echelons of the entertainment business who are friends with the CEO of Disney, or Mr. Bob Iger, Mr. Robert Iger. However he would be called, however you would call him, I don't know. But with that said, The Ride of a Lifetime is a story, a recounting of Bob Iger's success as a CEO, success and failures as a business person and leader. And with that said, if you don't know, you probably do know if you're watching this video, but he was the former CEO of Disney. He retired or went into a different position, and then he came back as a CEO after COVID happened, and right now he's trying to bring the company back onto a positive track. So he did a lot for the company. But here's what I think is the greatest piece of this book, the greatest idea, the greatest takeaway from this book is that Mr. Bob Iger provides an excellent modern role model for business. Now, we have a lot of role models in business today, and I'm sure that this book keeps some things, doesn't share some things in the way Bob Iger has led the company. I'm sure some things are not written, some things are not shared for whatever reason to maintain an image and all of that. But at the same time, I would say that there's a lot of business leaders, very, very successful, powerful business leaders, who are known as jerks, who maybe you've read a book about a tech business person who was an absolute genius, who was brilliant at their craft and became like a high level executive, but they were like they just everything had to be their way, and they would constantly cut costs, and they were whatever, right? Like there's nicknames, there's stories. You heard of the Yeller boss type, the super controlling boss type, the boss that you've heard of all of these different types of people in stories and all that, or from movies, books, real life situations even. We've all had a bad boss who we can describe what made them bad. But to hear a story about not just an ethical leader, but a kind man, a someone who was not necessarily like ruthlessly, ruining other people's careers and other businesses just for the gain of Disney, right? So this is definitely a person, a story, a book that provides a great role model for potentially future business leaders. I mean, I think this should literally just be like college reading for a business class, because it does share that you can be a successful CEO of one of the most successful companies in the world. You can be a successful executive without having to be a jerk. So let's see. For some reason it's doing ads right now, but you get the idea. So it's running ads right now, but I'm just going to go ahead and finish this. But it's an amazing book. He provides great role modelship. I mean, this is somebody who led Disney through the acquisition of Fox and Marvel, who acquired Star Wars, who made a business deal with Steve Jobs. And who would Steve Jobs, one of the most like focused, sharpest business people who ever lived, who would Steve Jobs want to do business with? Like, it was Bob Iger, Robert Iger, Mr. Iger. Like, this is some powerful stuff. These are some powerful, very historical situations and events, business events that are happening right now. So this is just it was an absolutely amazing book. The Ride of a Lifetime. I mean, not only is this big picture concept of why he's a good leader to learn from, why he's a good business leader to know of, to read. Disney is one of the successful companies in the world, how he accomplished some of the things that he did, how he acquired some of those huge brands. I mean, obviously he had tons and tons of money. He had Disney money behind him, Disney brands, Disney retail, Disney parks, Disney films. He had all these huge things behind him, of course, or in front of him or alongside him, however you want to position that. You get the idea. But he was also able to turn it all into something. He was able to bring the execution with the ideas in transitioning Disney from the last generation of Disney theme parks, happy, hand-drawn movies, to this modern era where everybody's demanding on-demand streaming content, new Star Wars, Marvel movies every year, twice a year, three times a year, all of these things. It's a totally new generation for Disney now, a new era, and Bob Iger definitely helped to transition that. And it's great to read about how that all happened. It's great to read about how he was able to do it while doing it in a very I'm not gonna say he's a nice guy. I don't really, it doesn't really share exactly whether he's a nice guy or not, but he definitely went into business with, it seems like, a proper level of ethics, at least throughout what the book has shared. He had some situations himself working in Hollywood as a young producer, or a young assistant or production assistant who was going to do chores, and he had to deal with some jerks, some assholes, some people that not weren't like yelling or just like whatever, but they were seriously like people that shouldn't have jobs, that shouldn't have been as influential as they were. But with that said, he dealt with those people and worked his way up. And it is in that story that you find so much inspiration and information. And again, to realize that somebody could become that successful without being known as the yeller, or without being known as somebody that should probably, go to jail or whatever. Being known as a good business person, ethical business person, a reliable business person, someone that is able to make these massive things happen through tremendous change. That is something very powerful to learn from. So that was what was so inspirational or so revealing to me about this book, The Ride of a Lifetime. Very great role model. There's so many other books out there that are written as like biographies or memoirs and things like that of business leaders, and they can seem sort of ruthless, they can seem sort of uncaring, they could be all about the tech and nothing about the people. They could have these stories about them that it's just like, oh well, if they didn't get their way, they were gonna go on a rampage and like yell at people in the office and things like that. So you hear about stuff like that all the time in business stories. But for whatever reason, it seems Bob Iger was able to accomplish so many, many great things. Multi-billion-dollar changes, tens of billions of dollars. I mean, Star Wars itself, I think, Disney paid like $2 to $4 billion for it, right? So we're talking tens of billions of dollars of business situations here. And I guess, a few $1 billion is not that much to Disney, right? Disney, it's been around for many years. It makes tons more money. But with that said, those are some big moves, some big challenges, and he didn't get there without any of his own personal challenges and all of that. But with that said, awesome book, very much worth the read, and I hope you get the chance to as well. And with that said, thank you for watching and have a wonderful day.